Hello there, very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News here on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. US President Barack Obama warns the world of disastrous consequences if terrorist attacks go nuclear, says it will change the world, calls for closer global cooperation. Modi addresses nuclear security summit as well, highlights India's progress on nuclear security, wraps up the US visit and now heads to Saudi Arabia's capital Riyadh. India expresses disappointment at technical hold to application to designate Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as the mastermind of the Pathankot terror attack. China defends its decision to block India's move to ban Azhar at the UN. Murder charges against 3 top officials of the construction company responsible for the Kolkata flyover that collapsed. 10 officials of the company are detained, while 3 Bengal state government engineers are suspended as the death toll rises to 24. And the NIA team to visit Pakistan to take forward the probe into Pathankot terror attack after the Pakistani Joint Investigation Team wraps up its visit. Dates for the visit are yet to be worked out. Our top story, US President Barack Obama has said that the world faces a persistent and evolving threat from terrorists who are eager to unleash a devastating nuclear attack. Addressing the 4th Nuclear Security Summit in Washington, D.C., Obama called for world cooperation to ensure that nuclear weapons do not reach organizations like the Islamic State.
This is a perfect example of a 21st century security challenge that no one nation can solve alone.
US President Barack Obama underlining the threat of nuclear material falling into the hands of terrorist organizations like the IS and the catastrophic impact it would have. Obama said this while addressing world leaders at the 4th Nuclear Security Summit in Washington.
Dinner, the threat of nuclear terrorism persists and continues to evolve. Fortunately, because of our coordinated efforts, no terrorist group has succeeded thus far in obtaining a nuclear weapon or a dirty bomb made of radioactive materials. But we know that Al-Qaeda has long sought nuclear materials. Individuals involved in the attacks in Paris and Brussels videotaped a senior manager who works at a Belgian nuclear facility. ISIL has already used chemical weapons, including mustard gas, in Syria and Iraq. There is no doubt that if these madmen ever got their hands on a nuclear bomb or nuclear material, they most certainly would use it to kill as many innocent people as possible.
Obama highlighted the uphill task of securing nuclear material available across the world.
The single most effective defense against nuclear terrorism is fully securing this material so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands in the first place. This is difficult. At hundreds of military and civilian facilities around the world, there are still roughly 2,000 tons of nuclear materials, and not all of this is properly secured.
The US president also said that preventing proliferation will go a long way in ensuring that the world does not face the disastrous consequences of a nuclear attack.
It would be a humanitarian, political, economic, and environmental catastrophe with global ramifications for decades. It would change our world. So we cannot be complacent. We have to build on our progress. We have to commit to better security at nuclear facilities, to removing or disposing of more dangerous material, to bringing more nations into treaties and partnerships that prevent proliferation and smuggling, and to make sure that we have the architecture in place to sustain our momentum in the years ahead.
Obama also appreciated the efforts of several countries in ensuring that the risk of nuclear terrorism is reduced. He said that the fight against this threat needs a global coalition.
It requires coalitions and sustained coordination across borders and institutions. And the good news is we've made significant progress. More than a dozen nations have removed all their highly enriched uranium and plutonium. Countries have removed or disposed of several tons of this deadly material. Nations have improved their nuclear security, including stronger regulations and more physical security of nuclear facilities. And more nations are cooperating to prevent nuclear smuggling. Iran from obtaining
Obama also touched upon the lifting of sanctions on Iran in exchange of the country curbing its controversial nuclear program. He, however, said that it will take time for Iran to rejoin the global economy. The fourth Nuclear Security Summit, that is Obama's last, was attended by leaders from more than 50 countries with heads of states from over 20 nations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, India has expressed disappointment after its bid to get Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Maulana Masood Azhar included in the UN Security Council sanctions list that was put on a technical hold. India blames Azhar for the Pathankot attack that left 7 soldiers dead and another 22 wounded, apart from the 6 militants who had entered the air base. India had submitted a formal request to the UN committee in February this year to include Azhar's name on its sanctions list following the assault. Reports claim that 14 out of the 15 countries were willing to designate Azhar, but China vetoed the move. The attack on the Pathankot airbase has stalled hopes of revived peace talks between the nations after Prime Minister Modi made a surprise visit to its counterpart Nawaz Sharif in December last year.
We find it incomprehensible that while the Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed was listed in UN Security Council committee established under UNSCR 1267, 1989 and 2253 as far back as 2001 for its well-known terror activities and links to the Al-Qaeda, the designation of the group's main leader, financer and motivator has been put on a technical hold.
The denial of India's plea to characterize JEM and Azhar Masood as a terrorist/banned organization and the failure to put him in the category of organizations like Al-Qaeda or ISIS is particularly offensive.
चाइना ने 2 बार ये वीटो का उपयोग किया है ये मसूद अजहर के बारे में। उनकी जो नीतियां हैं पाकिस्तान के प्रति, ये बिल्कुल इससे साफ प्रकट होता है कि पाकिस्तान के प्रति जो उनकी नीतियां हैं, जो भारत विरोधी नीतियां हैं, उनके लिए अधिक महत्वपूर्ण है।
विदेश मंत्रालय उसको रिएक्ट करे, क्योंकि जो भी हुआ अच्छा नहीं हुआ तो हम लोगों को तो क्या, जो हमको करना है वही करेंगे, तो विदेश मंत्रालय उसको सही तरीके से आपको रिएक्शन दे सकते हैं।
Meanwhile, the probe into the Pathankot attack continues. The National Investigation Agency, or the NIA, will visit Pakistan to carry forward its investigation into the terror attack at the strategic Indian Air Force base. The NIA's statement comes after the conclusion of the first round of evidence-sharing exercise, for which a joint investigation team from Pakistan visited Delhi, the Pathankot air base and other areas. The NIA also provided certified copies of post-mortem and DNA reports of the attackers and the seizure memo of articles from the scene of the crime. Indian investigators told the GIT that Pakistan-based terror outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed and its head, Maulana Masood Azhar, were involved in the attack's planning and execution. The NIA has sought voice samples of some senior bearers of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and DNA samples of the mother of one of the slain terrorists, Nasir Hussain. The Pakistani team has assured the NIA of their full cooperation, and details of the visit will be worked out soon.
The Pakistan GIT assured us of their full cooperation and promised to execute the LR which has been received by them. The Pakistan GIT was also informed that a team of NIA officials would like to visit Pakistan and carry forward the investigation in the Pathankot attack case.
Whether they give access to the Indian interrogators to get on to Masood Azhar Mahmood, etc. is unknown at this point of time. But Pakistan will increasingly find it difficult after their own GITs accepted this.
For the first time, Pakistan is not in a denial, but they are accepting that the terrorists had come from Pakistan. So it's a positive step.
Now on to the latest on the Kolkata flyover tragedy. 3 top officials of the Hyderabad-based company which was building that flyover that collapsed on Thursday have been slapped with murder charges. 10 officials of the construction company, the IVRCL, were also detained, while 2 state government engineers were suspended. But politics over the tragedy continues as the death toll rose to 24 on Friday. Rescue operations are almost over, with authorities now saying no more bodies are expected to be retrieved.
A day after the collapse of an under-construction flyover in Kolkata, the police detained 10 officials of the construction company IVRCL for questioning. The detainees include a few engineers, managers and vice president of the company. 2 state government engineers of the Kolkata Metropolitan Development Authority were also suspended as the toll rose to 24 with the recovery of more bodies from the debris. In the wake of the mishap, the centre has decided to review all ongoing highway and bridge projects.
CL and its concerned staff will cooperate with the investigation. We will give the maximum support what we have to give. We are anxious to know why it happened as well.
Meanwhile, a political slugfest ensued over the collapse, with opposition parties coming together to attack Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's government. However, the ruling TMC accused the left regime for the tragedy.
Initiated the project who ordered to set up the construction of the bridge. 60% bridge were completed at their regime. Why should Trinamool government will be blamed?
हजारों प्रोजेक्ट जो वामपंथी सरकार के दौरान हुई थी उसको नया ब्लू व्हाइट कलर लगा के उन्होंने री इनॉग्रेट किया है। तो इसीलिए ये तो अपना नाकामी के छिपाने के लिए एकदम घिनौनी राजनीति है। इसके बारे में जितना कम बोला जाए उतना बेहतर है।
जिस तरह की मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज लोगों को दी जानी चाहिए वो बिल्कुल नहीं दी गई।
That it is the Chief Minister herself who is playing the dirty politics in regard to the gruesome and horrible incidents.
Relief and rescue operation by the Army, NDRF, police and the fire brigade personnel continued at the accident site throughout the day on Friday. However, hopes of finding more survivors under the debris faded, with the authorities stating that no more bodies are expected to be retrieved.
Debris is there, that is being removed, and it is being ensured that there is no more dead body under the debris. As far as the possibility of live person is concerned, that is no more in this area.
An under-construction flyover collapsed on Thursday onto vehicles and street vendors below the Bara Bazar area of Kolkata. The flyover construction began in 2009 and missed several deadlines. A candlelight vigil was held in the city on Friday for the victims. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In more news, PDP President Mehbooba Mufti will be sworn in as the first woman Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir on the 4th of April. Briefing the media about the details of the ceremony, PDP leader Amitabh Mattu expressed hope that she will preside in a new era of peace and prosperity in the region. Earlier, the PDP and its alliance partner BJP conveyed the mutually agreed date for the swearing-in ceremony to State Governor N.N. Vohra. The alliance parties had staked claim to form the government on the 26th of March, 2 days after Mehbooba Mufti was elected the PDP's legislature party leader. The state has been without a chief minister for the last 3 months after the death of Mufti Muhammad Saeed. Mehbooba was reportedly reluctant to take over as chief minister of the coalition government, even as she sought assurances from the central government on implementation of the agenda of alliance that the two parties had struck earlier.
जम्मू कश्मीर में फिर से पीडीपी बीजेपी की साझा सरकार बनने के लिए तैयारियां लगभग पूरी हुई है। मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत ही जल्दी अगले 2-3 दिन में सरकार फिर से बनने की संभावनाएं आज दिख रही है। दोनों पार्टियां अब मिलकर सरकार बनाने के लिए लगभग अपनी सहमति तय कर लिए है। जल्दी गवर्नर से मिलकर आगे की प्रक्रिया पूरा करेंगे।
Vijay Mallya will not appear before the Enforcement Directorate on Saturday to join investigations against him in the alleged IDBI Bank 900 crore rupee loan money laundering case. He has sought more time from the agency, which is yet to take a decision on the issue. Now, according to sources, Mallya has conveyed to the Enforcement Directorate his inability to make a personal appearance before the probe team in Mumbai, seeking an almost 1-month extension. The agency had earlier summoned him on the 18th of March. However, the liquor baron said it would not be possible for him to return to India by then. He was subsequently then told to appear on the 2nd of April. The ED is all set to further now decide the court of action against Mallya. In case he does not turn up despite repeated summons, the ED has the option of approaching the court seeking an arrest warrant, which would enable the agency to initiate further legal proceedings against Mallya. The businessman had left for London on the 2nd of March, sparking a major controversy. Through his Twitter account, though, he later refuted the allegations that he had fled the country. With a quick break here, we'll be back with more national and international news in a bit. Do stay with us.
I'm Amritan Shura and you're watching Constitutionally Yours. it is our ultimate goal to have a uniform civil code.
We want this uniform civil code throughout India.
लोगों को जो कल्याणकारी काम है वो भी करने चाहिए.
Today religious ground prevails over scientific ground.
Article 48 वो किसी religious और sentimental reasons से नहीं.
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha Television.
Pathar Sahib, the centuries-old Gurudwara constructed in the memory of Guru Nanak. According to a local legend, once a wicked demon lived in the area who terrorized the people. It is said that Guru heard their woes and came to their aid. The demon got into a rage and decided to kill Guru Nanak Dev with a huge pathar or the boulder. But when it touched the Guru's body, it softened like a warm wax. The local lamas have held the pathar sacred since then and offer prayers to it.
All right, let's get you some more news that's coming in out of Washington, D.C. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the plenary session at the Nuclear Security Summit before leaving for Saudi Arabia. Modi highlighted India's progress regarding nuclear security. In the run-up to the summit, the Prime Minister said that there cannot be a distinction made between terrorists across the world.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted India's progress regarding nuclear security at the plenary session of the 4th Nuclear Security Summit. Modi also underlined the continued priority given to the matter.
Summit deliberations have continued after the plenary session on national actions. The focus at the working lunch was on international cooperation and institutional coordination.
Modi also underlining India's contribution to the International Atomic Energy Agency.
Prime Minister is underlining our contribution to the IEA, since IEA plays the central coordinating role on nuclear security issues. We mentioned in the morning that India would be contributing $1 million to the IEA.
India's contribution is to the Nuclear Safety Fund of the IAEA, and this is the second such contribution by India in as many years. Modi also highlighted the measures put in place at home to enhance safety and security at the atomic field, including ways to deal with the nuclear waste. An IAEA ministerial conference is slated for December this year to sustain the political momentum of the Nuclear Security Summit.
There is an IEA ministerial conference that is happening in December this year, the second such conference. By successfully institutionalizing a ministerial level interaction on nuclear security, the IEA is ensuring that the political momentum of the nuclear security summits is sustained, and countries, all the members, the 150 plus members of the IEA, are able to engage on this issue at a senior level.
Modi also highlighted India's close coordination with Interpol to address the issue of nuclear trafficking. Following the summit, Modi tweeted, "My Washington, D.C. visit was full of fruitful meetings and interactions. We've discussed an issue of great global importance." The Prime Minister is on his way to the Saudi Arabian capital of Riyadh, that is the third destination of his three-nation tour. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
We'll continue tracking that trip there for you. Meanwhile, let's take you through all the other international stories that we're tracking in World Wrap. Argentines will pay sharply higher rates for natural gas consumption, according to subsidy cuts announced by the government as part of new President Mauricio Macri's fiscal austerity plan. Heating prices will go up by 300% in some areas after years of generous subsidies that kept the gas bill for millions of Argentines nearly frozen under the previous government of Cristina Fernandez. Top US health officials convened in Georgia to devise a plan for tackling the Zika virus, which is expected to reach the southern United States within weeks amid warmer temperatures and rising mosquito populations. Zika is already spreading rapidly in Puerto Rico, a US island territory, and is expected to peak in late summer and early fall. By the year's end, public health officials estimate hundreds of thousands of people will have been infected. The WHO declared a global health emergency last month because of growing evidence that Zika can cause microcephaly, a rare birth defect defined by an unusually small head. Myanmar military MPs today said that a plan to bolster Aung San Suu Kyi's power with a special advisory role was unconstitutional. This after the new civilian government tussled with the army just days after taking office. In a surprising act of parliamentary business by the new government, Suu Kyi's party proposed a bill to grant her special state councillor position. The Danish government on Friday extended random identification checks along the country's German border, saying they were needed to deter migrants from entering the country. In a statement, the Danish Integration Minister, Inger Støjberg, said that it is necessary to extend the border controls so that large groups of refugees and migrants do not accumulate in Denmark. All right, back home now, and members of the Bhumata Brigade, an organization that rallied for the entry of women into all temples in Maharashtra, are likely to march to the Shani Shingnapur temple today. This after a landmark verdict by the Bombay High Court on Friday, which ruled that women can now enter every temple in the state. Tripti Desai, president of that organization, said that she was looking forward to performing a puja at the inner sanctorum, which has been barred for women for centuries. On Friday, the Bombay High Court ruled that offering prayers at a temple is the fundamental right of a woman, and it is the government's fundamental duty to protect this right. In fact, the court also stated that temples in the state can no longer cite centuries-old traditions to ban the entry of women. The Maharashtra government has said that it will take all steps necessary to comply with the order by enforcing a law that provides 6 months in prison for preventing anyone from entering a temple.
It is not restricted to any particular temple or particular place of worship. It will cover all the places of worship all over Maharashtra.
ये नारी शक्ति की जीत हुई है और हमने आंदोलन जो खड़ा किया था उसकी बहुत बड़ी ये जीत है। तो अभी आगे जो है वो आज कोर्ट ने आदेश किया है कि शनि प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर महिलाएं जा सकती है, जहां पे पुरुष जा सकते हैं वहां पे महिलाओं को एंट्री मिलनी चाहिए। तो कल जो है वो शनि प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर हम सम्मान पूर्वक जाने वाले हैं। हमारी सभी महिलाएं जो है वो शनि प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर दर्शन के लिए कल जाएगी।
This issue is not limited to a temple or a mosque or a church. It is about gender equality and gender discrimination. The honorable courts have given a landmark judgment in this particular case, and I think that we must implement it in all places of worship, or for that matter in all places per se. Man and woman have to be equal in the 21st century.
In this 21st century, women will fight for their constitutional rights and achieve it. I congratulate all the activists who fought for this.
Tobacco product manufacturers in the country have decided to shut factories with immediate effect, citing ambiguity in the government's pictorial warnings policy. In fact, the Tobacco Institute of India, whose members account for 98% of domestic sales of duty-paid cigarettes, estimates that the move will result in a daily loss of 350 crore rupees. Now, the move comes after the centre's notification directing that tobacco products carry larger pictorial warnings covering 85% of the display area on the packet. The September 2015 notification came into effect on Friday, despite a parliamentary panel describing the government's proposal as too harsh and wanted a drastic reduction in the size of the visual warning. The panel had recommended that the message occupy just 50% of the space. And now just 2 days to go for assembly polls in 2 states. Let's get you a quick update of all we can expect in the poll-bound states. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi, who is campaigning for the upcoming West Bengal polls, will conduct 3 public meetings in the state today. His first two meetings will be held in Kulti and Bankura. He is then slated to attend another meeting in Durgapur. Meanwhile, news agency ANI reports that the Congress Vice President will be visiting the Kolkata flyover collapse site today. Assam Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi has described BJP's chief ministerial candidate Sarbanand Sonowal as a migratory bird for Majuli, from where he's contesting for the first time. He said that Sarbanand had earlier migrated to Lakhimpur for the Lok Sabha poll. Gogoi also took credit for completing the long pending bridge in Majuli, since its foundation stone was laid by his predecessor. And staying with Assam, the government has declared a public holiday on the 4th of April in the areas falling under those assembly constituencies which go to polls in the first phase. This declaration has been made in respect of all central government offices, public sector undertakings, banks, educational institutions and others. The Supreme Court has accepted that electoral reforms are long awaited, but refused to entertain a PIL seeking a direction to the Election Commission to verify details of persons contesting polls. The top court said that the exercise would be too cumbersome a process for the poll body. And that's all we have for you on the Breakfast News. Thanks so much for joining us and have a good day.